Hey everybody, Boris speaking Forex. Welcome to the crosses section for Jan 28, February 1, 2019. And I think the biggest, most interesting story in the crosses section is the incredible overbought conditions in cable. And particularly two particular crosses I think are of most interest to us if we're going to want to fade the move. Pound yen looks so ripe for a little bit of a correction. Resistance here is 146. It comes up against the very high 500 SMA. Support is 42, so there's plenty of way for it to come down and still remain in essentially a pretty strong uptrend. And the other trade, which is more dangerous, and I would actually wait, I'll show you on the charts before I would commit to it, but this euro pound with resistance at 88 and this teetering support, if it can hold at 86, would also prove to be a very decent entry on just a corrective move in cable. This is really a bet on the fact that most of the positive stuff on Brexit has kind of been factored in. We may have a little bit more wobble in UK Parliament this week, and just some natural profit taking is sure to come into the trade. My favorite of the two cable trades is going to be pound yen, just because I think there's going to be some weakness on the yen front, and that will add the opportunity to correct on the pound yens. The last trade is sort of interesting because it's outside of the scope of most of the major flows. The Aussie CAD has essentially been in a very decent long consolidation channel with 94 at support and 96 in resistance. And the interesting thing here is that you're basically perhaps starting to see a stabilization of Aussie. And if Aussie does indeed stabilize, then the outperformance here for Aussie CAD to the upside really plays out. So I'll show you, the longer the base, perhaps the stronger the breakout. As long as this 94 holds, that looks like a promising trade as well. As a matter of fact, we can start with the Aussie CAD, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So, we had the flash crash beginning of the year, and then really for the last month or so, we've been doing nothing but consolidating around this 94 support level on the lower end of the range. Of course, 95, 96 has been a big resist point, but if you believe this range holds, and so far you have very little risk. I mean, if you're coming in now, the entry is 94.86, your stop would be at 94. At that point, it's clearly going to be a broken range. You have a chance here to potentially trade all the way up to the upper end of the range at around 96 as a potential target. It's a quiet, slow trade, but if you're trading in the outperformance of Aussie, that essentially maybe the Aussie gets a little bit more short covering, especially in the front of the week, this seems to be a pretty decent, interesting idea with minimal amount of risk. The true trade, I think, the really interesting trade is the pound yen. And generally I'm always looking for trend trades, but there are times when trend gets so stretched out. And one of those times is when you see the price just completely deviate away from the moving average. I mean, the moving average is what? 46? No, yeah, 140. And we are at 145 effectively. So we're 500 points above the moving average. That's a very overbought condition. And it just screams for a potential short. Now, the natural short here is around the 46 level. The 500 SMA comes in around 46.50. So you absolutely have to give yourself plenty of room. I think probably I would, given the structure here, you'd have to give yourself at least 200 points of breathing space and probably a scale up position where you could take a small position here and a small position into the 46s or 45.50s with a hard stop above this level. Because if it goes above there, then the whole structure is really negated. But if we start to stall into this into the zone over here, there's a very decent chance we could roll over, certainly to the 43s and possibly all the way down to the 42s, which would bring us to actually meeting the moving average, which is a very natural way to work off the overbought conditions. The other trade that really screams pound overbought is the euro pound, which has just been a dive to the downside as pound strength has just been consistent. How many days have we had this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 out of 11 days of downward price action. Very rare when we get that kind of moves in the FX market. And generally, what that means is that we essentially are due for a bounce. Now, the natural, of course, round number figure support here is 86. Clearly, you'd have to give yourself maybe 80, 85, 80 as a stop level to see if they clear it. But I would really like to wait. I don't want to see a full day of when we stabilize and around maybe just a green day over here, which would create a natural support level against which you could trade. And then you can have a move potentially all the way to 87, 88 as you get the nice corrective forces between the pound and the euro. Euro pound did make a lower high here. There's no doubt. This is a lower high. But if we get any kind of stall over here, generally, it's going to probably make at least a corrective move somewhere halfway of this big move. These kind of 10, 11 straight day down moves are incredibly rare in FX and just scream for a potential snapback. So those are the most interesting crosses in my opinion. Pound yen to the short side as my primary idea. Euro pound I would watch to give myself some sort of a chart positioning point. I'd love to see a green candle before I would want to get long. And Aussie CAD as kind of a bottom picking on the range trade. Wish you guys the best luck, the best trading. Boris Schlossberg, over and out.